are great leaders, born with something special, qualities baked into their DNA.
Or is it more about how they're shaped? Hammered out by experience, maybe. Especially when things get really tough.
It's a huge question, isn't it? And today we're looking at it through the lives of 4 really pivotal American presidents.
Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Lyndon B. Johnson.
Exactly. These weren't just presidents. They were individuals who faced immense personal and professional setbacks, crises that could have completely stopped them.
Yeah, and we're drawing insights from Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Leadership in Turbulent Times, to see how they actually navigated that adversity.
It's about how those challenges didn't just happen to them, but how they, defined their leadership in the end.
And understanding leadership can feel a bit overwhelming sometimes. There's so much out there.
Right. Which is why leveraging different resources can be helpful. For instance, there's a YouTube channel called Mindful Moments.
Oh, yeah. What do they do?
They use AI for book analysis, actually. It's meant to spark reflection, critical thinking on complex topics like the ones we're discussing today, kind of a way to get insightful perspectives quickly.
Interesting. So our goal here isn't just biography. We want to uncover the role resilience played, right? The forces that really shaped them.
Precisely. Let's start with those big questions Goodwin raises right at the beginning, born or made. Where does that ambition come from?
And how much does adversity really shape a leader? Are they products of their time or do they shape it?
How do they get people behind a purpose? And crucially, what's the difference between just having power and, actual leadership?
Is it possible without a purpose bigger than just yourself? These questions were vital then, and they still resonate so much today.
Okay, let's get into part 2 of the book. This is where it dives into those dramatic reversals, the big crises. For Lincoln, what was that?
Well, he suffered this major public reputational blow. It hit his sense of honor so hard, he mentioned feeling near suicidal depression.
Wow, that's intense. And Theodore Roosevelt.
TR faced something almost unthinkable. He lost his young wife, Alice, and his mother, Mitty, on the same day.
On the same day.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, just devastating. Then you have Franklin Roosevelt, FDR.
Polio. It left him paralyzed. A complete life change.
Absolutely. And Lyndon Johnson, LBJ. Maybe it sounds less dramatic on the surface, but losing that Senate election early on...
He took it really personally, didn't he?
He really did. He saw it as a deep personal rejection. Goodwin points out how much that shaped his thinking, at least for a time.
So the scholars Goodwin draws on, they really focus on resilience.
Yes, very much so. That ability to keep ambition alive despite huge setbacks. The book argues their response was actually more critical than the adversity itself.
That makes sense. It's not just that they faced hardship, but what they did next, how they rebuilt.
Exactly. These moments, initially, they were huge impediments, but ultimately, they deepened and decisively shaped their leadership.
Which leads into part 3, right? When they're in the White House, operating at their formidable best, as Goodwin puts it.
And that's where you see the importance of a moral purpose, guiding those ambitions, channeling their talents for something beyond just themselves.
It connects their personal journey with the demands of the historical moment.
Yeah, and speaking of connections, the link between these leaders across generations is fascinating.
Oh, right. Tell us about that.
Well, LBJ consciously saw his great society as building on FDR's New Deal. He admired FDR immensely. FDR, early in his career, explicitly modeled himself on his cousin, Theodore Roosevelt. He looked up to TR's path.
And TR looked back further.
To Lincoln. He admired Lincoln's resolve, his lack of vindictiveness, his strength. It was a lifelong admiration.
And even Lincoln looked back.
Yes, when he was leaving Springfield for Washington, he invoked George Washington as the ideal leader for the enormous task ahead. It's like a family tree of leadership.
That's a great way to put it. If we rewind even further to their early lives, do we see hints of this?
Definitely. Lincoln's early life, for example, was tough. Losing his mother, his father being absent sometimes, the harsh frontier.
But his stepmother was a positive influence.
Seems so, yes. Provided some crucial stability. Contrast that with the Roosevelts, Theodore, and Franklin. More privileged backgrounds.
Though maybe different drives early on. TR seemed ambitious from the start.
He did. FDR's ambitions seemed perhaps less obvious initially, more internally focused.
And LBJ.
He identified strongly with his father's political life from a young age. That seed was planted early.
Let's talk about specific traits. Lincoln's memory is legendary. Was that just innate?
He didn't think so. He said he worked at it. He'd write things down, rewrite them, really drill them into his mind. He saw it as a developed skill.
That fits with his early ambition, wanting to be the best penman, really develop his talents.
Absolutely. And his storytelling. Influenced by his father, apparently, but also driven by wanting to connect with people, entertain his friends.
You see that eagerness to learn in New Salem, too. People respected his curiosity, his kindness.
Meanwhile, young TR was like a sponge for political knowledge. And he saw politics very clearly, good versus evil.
What about FDR's early skills?
Goodwin highlights his intuitive capacity, his interpersonal intelligence. Even as a kid, reading his parents, the household mood, very perceptive.
And LBJ, maybe not always viewed positively.
No, some peers saw his early power moves negatively, but it undeniably showed a powerful drive and ambition even then.
What about early political courage? Lincoln took a stand on slavery quite early, didn't he?
Remarkably early, age 26. In Illinois, a state with Southern ties, that was risky. But he felt, if slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong.
Though he was pragmatic about how to tackle it.
Yes, not calling for immediate abolition then, but the moral core was there, and his vision for Illinois infrastructure.
The DeWitt Clinton idea again, connecting the state, fostering growth. He knew the land.
Right. And TR, in the New York Assembly, he was a reformer from the get-go, took on corruption, even party bosses.
And FDR had that initial loss, but then jumped into a state Senate race?
Yeah, lost an assembly race, then surprised people by going for the Senate and winning, showed adaptability, ambition.
LBJ's teaching experience seems significant, too.
Teaching those Mexican-American children, it suggests an early display of empathy, connecting with people facing hardship.
Okay, let's circle back to how those major setbacks really forged their character. Lincoln's depression after those failures.
It led to a period of, well, intense rebuilding, a new law partnership, deep self-study. He emerged stronger, more focused.
And TR heading west after the deaths of his wife and mother.
He used that rugged life, the physical challenge, to confront his grief, rebuild himself, body and mind. It was a crucible for him.
FDR's polio is perhaps the most transformative example.
Absolutely. The initial despair, the physical limitations, but then founding Warm Springs, developing that profound empathy for others suffering, it changed him fundamentally.
And LBJ's Senate loss, that miserable period.
It clearly stung deeply. While the transformation maybe wasn't as immediate or obvious as with FDR's polio, it seems to have eventually reshaped how he channeled that immense ambition. It's these kinds of pivotal moments, that resources like Mindful Moments and our podcasts encourage us to think about how challenges shape leaders.
So when you look at all four, the common thread really is that resilience, isn't it?
Without a doubt. Their ability to not just endure adversity, but to learn from it, to grow through it. That seems absolutely central.
It wasn't just about personal survival. It was essential for their capacity to lead the nation, especially during those turbulent times they each faced.
It truly was. Their greatest leadership often emerged directly from how they navigated their deepest struggles.
Which makes you think, doesn't it? For anyone listening.
Yeah.
Consider the challenges you're facing right now.
Yeah, how can you apply these lessons? How can you use resilience to navigate your own turbulent times?
And maybe, what's that purpose larger than just personal ambition that could fuel your own growth? Something to really mull over.
Definitely. It's about perspective.
So if you found this exploration insightful, please subscribe to stay informed and get more perspectives like this.
And share it with others who might find it valuable too.
We've put a link in the show notes if you want to explore Doris Kearns Goodwin's leadership in turbulent times further and support the author's work.
And most importantly, keep thinking critically about leadership, about history, and about your own potential.